once again, I want to say greetings to each and every one of you. Aquaba. Welcome. Welcome to another round of the Conscious Rasta Report here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, and livinginblack.com. My name is Kedia Wadu, aka the Conscious Rasta. Weekday mornings, you and I get together live. We come at 9 a.m. Pacific time, that's 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. GMT, and 8 p.m. East Africa time. We get together with you and we deal with culture, consciousness, historical perspectives, entertainment, economics, education, health, labor, law, politics, religion, family, conflict, future studies, all areas of human interactivity and development. Today's date is Tuesday, the 9th of December, 2025 in a Gregorian calendar. This corresponds to the year 6266 in the Kemetic calendar, to which we have realigned our cultural clock. Welcome to the 7th millennium. You have found your family in a peaceful place here on LIV Radio, LIV TV, here on livinginblack.com. Let me tell you what we have on store for today's classroom. You can defeat diabetes and insulin resistance. You can defeat diabetes and insulin resistance. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. We know this to be true. We're going to lay out the evidence for what we are presenting here today. Welcome to the Conscious Rasta Report, where eternal truths meet wellness. In today's master class, discover how type 2 adult-onset diabetes is not a life sentence. Uncover the power of targeted nutrition and lifestyle changes to prevent and even reverse insulin resistance. Uncover the power of nutrition, clinical nutrition, to reverse. And it's remarkable how fast this process goes. We'll debunk myths, explore cutting edge science, and deliver practical, actionable, what to eat guidelines you can use or teach immediately to empower your health naturally. That's what's on the program. Today's masterclass will show you how type 2 diabetes is very preventable and for many people can be put into remission with targeted nutrition and lifestyle changes. In as little as 2 days, you will see evidence of this remission. Not nor medication. We're not talking about drugs, pharmaceutical drugs here. We're talking about eating your medicine. Food is nature's most perfect medicine. I said food is nature's most perfect medicine. I'm going to say it again and again until you finally believe me. So today we will begin by busting a few of these myths and offer a very practical what to eat guide that you can use right now to improve your life or anyone that you would teach this to. Number one, part one. Why everything you've heard so far feels confusing. Now, bear with me while I slurp my tea. No, I'm going to sip my tea and try my best not to slurp it. Out of respect to my beloved sister. That is lovely, lovely, lovely. Official guidelines, pharmaceutical self-interest, pharmaceutical manufacturers' self-interest, and television commercials, media commercials, social media commercials, and fragmented research create mixed messages about good and bad carbs, fats, and proteins. Point two, there is a need to define what does reversal and remission mean in everyday language. Normal blood sugars for months with little or no medication, especially moving beyond metformin, What does this remission, what does reversing diabetes really mean to you? We herein today present data that long-term remission is rare in usual care. Long-term remission is rare in usual care around low single-digit percentages over years, setting up why intensive lifestyle strategies really do matter. And we're going to list about 7 lifestyle strategies that you will employ if you choose to live beyond diabetes and insulin resistance. So next, let's go into the second part of our discussion. Let's debunk these dangerous diabetes myths. 4 myths have been prevalent. Number 1, type 2 diabetes is always progressive, meaning it's only going to continue to get worse. We will show evidence that intensive dietary interventions, very low calorie or very low processed carbohydrate diets, have produced remission in 40 to 50% of motivated patients in clinical trials. We'll show you those trials. The myth that type 2 diabetes is always progressive overlooks powerful evidence of remission through lifestyle intervention. Research shows significant weight loss, especially early in diagnosis, can restore insulin sensitivity and pancreatic function, leading to remission. Studies like the UK's DIRECT demonstrate up to 84% remission rates with structured programs. While not permanent for everyone, diabetes progression can be halted or reversed, challenging the notion of inevitable decline. Remission is possible without medication. Provoking lifestyle is a potent medicine, and I'm referring to the diabetes remission clinical trial that's known as DIRECT, and I have copied the link to that here in my report, and I'm going to share that link with you, my listening audience. I'm going to post it up for our Facebook family. I'll paste it up for our our Rumble family. And I see you in the house, Brother Shabaka. He says, greetings, Baba and LIB family. It's my honor to be here with you and to learn how to maintain my good health. It's an honor to have you, my brother. It is absolutely an honor to be with you. And also, I'm going to paste this up for my Facebook family. And I'll paste this link up right here. I'm going to paste it up a second time for those of you just tuning in. We are live. We broadcast live on Facebook. We broadcast this video live on Facebook. We are on our Rumble. That's our main channel. And we're back and in good standing on YouTube, even though it is not the same page that I had before, because that page had over 5,000 subscribers and it was monetized, and it had over 2,000 videos that I had put up over the course of about 16 or 18 years. There was a lot of work there, and YouTube canceled that profile for reasons that they now admit was wrong. They have not yet reinstated it, and I'm going to make that demand here real soon. You need to reinstate my program. For Africa One, I see you in the house today, beloved. Hotep, Brother Keedy, and Global LB family in and out today. Well, I hope you spend more time in than you are out. But this program will be here for your availability, for you to go out and to teach what you know, teach what you learn, teach everybody that will pay attention. It's going to be tough. Nonetheless, we're going to do the best we can to continue to do the best that we can. I'm going to go forward. We're talking about busting these myths. Myth number 2. It's all about sugar. If you avoid sweets, you're safe. Well, I refute that simple statement, simple understanding. Today, we're going to explain how refined starches, saturated fats, and excess calories can all drive insulin resistance, even when obvious sugar intake is low. The myth that it's all about sugar ignores key drivers of insulin resistance. Refined starches like white bread and pasta spike blood glucose levels just like sweets. Saturated fats impair insulin signaling, and excess calories promote fat storage in liver and muscles, directly causing insulin resistance. Even without added sugar, diets high in processed carbohydrates and unhealthy fats increase diabetes risk. True prevention requires addressing overall dietary quality, not just avoiding sweets. And I have a link to that one as well. Let me give you this link: new theory on how insulin resistance metabolic disease began. And I'm not going to share from that document, not right now. I may do it a little bit later, but I will just put up the link so that you can have access to it as well as I. So I do want to say greetings to 0825 Ras is in the house at 0825 Ras, Uja Babakiti, and LIB Universally. And it's a pleasure to have you in the house along with your global family. We are all in this love together. That's right. So continuing the research, we're going to debunk myth number 3. Thin people can't be insulin resistant. Thin people can't be insulin resistant. No, I'm thin, but I'm living a lifestyle. We need to introduce this concept of ectopic fat, ectopic fat, ECTOPIC fat in liver and muscle, causing insulin resistance even in people with normal body mass. The myth that, quote, thin people can't be insulin resistant ignores ectopic fat, fat stored in the liver, muscles, and in the pancreas, driving insulin resistance even in those with controlled body mass index, known as TOFI, thin outside, fat inside, TOFI. This condition impairs metabolic health despite a lean appearance. Factors like genetics, diet, and inactivity promote ectopic fat buildup, increasing your diabetes risk independently of body weight. And I have a link to that one as well. Let me share that. I put in a lot of work to today's program, and I hope you do appreciate. It's me, Basu Randa. Okay, I see you, beloved, in the house today. Basu Randa, it is always is a pleasure to be with you as well. And I'm going to put this link up here, the causal role of ectopic fat deposition in the pathogenesis of metabolic syndrome. And I put that link up there in the YouTube, put it up here on Rumble. And I'm going to put it up here one more time. And bear with me. This is very important that we share these links to this research. Okay, I did put it up there. The causal role of ectopic fat deposition in the pathogenesis of metabolic syndrome. I put that up there already. So we're on a roll. Myth number 4. Oh, let me just take a second here because ectopic fat, you need to understand completely what ectopic fat is. Ectopic fat is fat stored in places the body is not designed to store much fat, such as inside the liver, skeletal muscle, heart, pancreas, or around organs and blood vessels. Instead of sitting mainly under the skin in subcutaneous fat, excess triglycerides accumulate within these non-fat tissues, known as visceral adiposity. Visceral meaning of the guts, and adiposity meaning fat, excess fat tissue, and can disrupt how the organs work, driving insulin resistance, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, beta cell dysfunction, and increased risks of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So this ectopic fat is definitely your enemy. Ectopic fat, you are my enemy. Declare a war against ectopic fat. It's going to be more productive than declaring war against a political party or an ideology. So that's myth number 3. Thin people can't be insulin resistant. No, that's not true. And myth number 4, medications are the only real treatment. Food is just supportive. Nah, let's debunk that right now. Structured diet programs have enabled large reductions or complete discontinuation of insulin and other drugs in controlled studies. The idea that medications are the only real treatment ignores robust evidence that structured nutrition can reverse type 2 diabetes. Earlier, I mentioned the direct trial. It showed 46% of the recipients in that diet achieved remission at 12 months, discontinuing all diabetes drugs through a low-calorie diet and weight management. Many reduced or eliminated their insulin. This proves food, when applied therapeutically, isn't just supportive. It can be the primary treatment. And I'm going to cite another article right here. It's entitled Weight Loss Can Put Type 2 Diabetes into Remission for at least 5 years. Direct study reveals. And I'll probably have to put this up in 2 pieces. I can put it up here on my Facebook in one. Let me just put it up here. And I'm going to split this into 2 parts and put it up for my Rumble family. Wait a minute. It might fit in one. No, it doesn't. Latest findings. And so let me put this up for my Rumble family and for my YouTube family. And on YouTube, it's there. On Rumble, it is, where'd you go? Come back. Oh, and the YouTube, I had needed to split it too. So I'm going to split this up here for the Rumble family. Put it up there and put it up for the YouTube family. Bear with me. I'm a little overwhelmed over here. We're doing the best we can. I'm going to put it up here on Rumble as well, on YouTube and Rumble. So there it is on YouTube in one link and on the Rumble page in one link as well. And here, let me do this. Well, this is fine. Now, let's continue. This report is rather extensive today. I'm going to do the best I can to make this real interesting. Part number 3 of our discussion, the real root cause. The real root cause of insulin resistance. Insulin resistance often starts when excess fat builds up inside the liver and muscle cells and disrupts normal insulin signaling, driving chronically high blood sugar. Normal insulin action. After a meal, rising blood glucose triggers the pancreas to release insulin, which binds to receptors on muscle and liver cells and starts a signaling cascade that moves GLUT4 transporters to the cell surface so glucose can enter for energy or storage as glycogen, keeping blood sugar in a narrow range. Point 2, ectopic fat and signaling. When more fat reaches the muscle and liver than can be safely burned or stored, ectopic triglyceride droplets accumulate inside these cells and correlate closely with tissue-specific and whole body insulin resistance. This intracellular fat overloads this intracellular fat overloads, distort. Let me repeat, there's no S on overloads. This insulin fat overload distorts metabolism. So the insulin signal no longer effectively suppresses liver glucose output or stimulate muscle glucose uptake, leading to elevated fasting and post-meal glucose. So let me just kind of explain that. There's too much fat in the muscles and the liver that can be processed. So these ectopic fat triglyceride droplets accumulate inside these cells. This correlates closely with tissue-specific and whole body insulin resistance. This is a signaling system. Insulin is a signaling system. So the signal is going to get out to the whole body. This intracellular fat, ectopic fat, overload distorts metabolism. So the insulin signal is no longer effectively suppressing liver glucose output or stimulates muscle glucose uptake, leading to elevated fasting and post-meal glucose. Now, you could hear, hopefully in that, the critical role of exercise. Exercise is very critical for burning up this excess sugar. Very important. Next point, diacylglycerols, ceramides, and inflammation. The main problem is not neutral triglyceride, but lipotoxic intermediates, such as diacylglycerols, and ceramides that rise when fatty acid supply exceeds mitochondrial oxidative capacity. That's mitochondria, little cell, little engine inside every cell. It burns glucose with oxygen. That's where energy comes from. But when this process, triglycerides overload that, then it becomes toxic, lipotoxic. These lipids activate serine threonine kinases, and these are amino acid enzymes, like certain PKC isoforms that phosphorylate insulin receptor substrates at inhibitory sites, blocking downstream signaling and promoting chronic low-grade inflammation that further entrenches insulin resistance. Now, I said a whole bunch right there. I'm going to take a second and just bear with me. I'm going to go into my preferred AI search, and it is right here. This one is perplexity.ai, and I'm going to put this paragraph in and explain in simple language in 200 words. It's a lot. Let me make this 100 words. 100 words. Okay. So when you eat too many fats, your cells can't burn them fast enough in the mitochondria. Harmful intermediates like diacylglycerols, DAGs, and ceramides build up instead of harmless triglycerides. These lipotoxic, quote unquote, lipids, and they're toxic to lipids, these lipotoxic lipids activate enzymes called PKC kinases, which slap blocking tags, serine, threonine, phosphates, on insulin signaling proteins. Blocking tags on insulin signaling proteins. We need those insulin signals. These jams insulin's message. This, not these, this jams insulin's message, spiking blood sugar and triggering low-grade inflammation that worsens resistance over time. The real villain isn't fat storage. It's these toxic middlemen clogging the insulin pathway. And that was hopefully a good explanation that you can use. I hope we are on the same track. Going forward, and let me just copy that paragraph because I think that was a very useful paragraph. 1 second, copy and cut and paste this into my research document over here. And let's continue. We're next on part 4. The surprising health foods that can backfire. The surprising health foods that can backfire. Large cohort studies show that even 2 servings of red meat per week are linked to higher type 2 diabetes risk, with each daily serving of processed meat raising your risk by roughly 40 to 50%. I'm going to reread that again because they're all constantly telling people lean meats, lean red meat, chicken and turkey and all that, but that lean red meat is what's being pointed out here. Large cohort studies show that even 2 servings of red meat per week are linked to higher type 2 diabetes risk, with each daily serving of processed meat raising risk by 40 to 50%. Each daily serving processed meat. What is processed meat? We're talking about bacon, ham, Slim Jims, the healthy snack. No. Processed meats, sausage. There are a lot of processed meat, but the red meat, the non-processed meat, grass-fed beef, it's red meat, brings us back to NEU 5GC, that sugar-like molecule that humans cannot digest. Explain what this means. I'm asking for an explanation. And it's giving it to me. Large cohort studies tracking hundreds of thousands of people over years reveal that even modest red meat intake raises type 2 diabetes risk. That's why it's so obvious. 40 to 50%. It's so obvious after 2 days of a plant-forward vegan diet. After 2 days, the blood sugar spikes start to disappear. Now, I had the experience here where we had 2 guests staying at our home here in Las Vegas who came specifically for our health and wellness retreat. On the 4th day, the brother showed me his glucose monitoring device, handheld device attached to a patch on his arm. and his glucose monitoring device showed 104 after 4 days, coming down from in excess of as much as 170 plus. It came down to 104 was his fasting glucose level. Now, at the time, he was cutting down his medicine. He was cutting it down. The other brother who was here did not have a problem with diabetes, but his blood pressure normalized on the fourth day. Food is nature's most perfect medicine. Let me repeat. 2 weeks, 2 weekly servings of unprocessed food like steak linked to higher odds, while one daily serving of processed meat, bacon, sausage, Slim Jims, other boost your risk by 40 to 50%. These, quote, healthy foods backfire because compounds like heme iron, nitrates, and saturated fats, including NEU5GC, it's not a fat, it's a protein, may impair insulin signaling, promote inflammation, or alter your gut bacteria, gradually eroding your blood sugar control. Swapping these toxic foods out for plants, fish, or poultry lowers risk, aligning with guidelines to limit them. Guidelines to limit them. That's very important. That article appears here. It's entitled, I'm pulling it up. This is your MRC Epidemiology Unit. This is from the University of Cambridge, and the article is entitled Red and Processed Meat Consumption Associated with Higher Type 2 Diabetes Risk. New study in 2 million people finds. Now, there are some people who say, oh, I gotta have my meat. I gotta have that red meat. And they will joke about it. It ain't no joke. It's not a joke. When you can do better, why not try? Why not give it your whole, your all? You could, would, should be able to do this. Diabetes risk interconnect. Let me see. I'm copying this all, and I want it to all fit on one line, and it's not going to fit on one. So I'm going to put this up on 2 different lines. Paste it here. Paste it on the YouTube, and then I'm going to give you the link. And the link is right here. Copy, paste it on the Rumble, paste it on YouTube, and then I'm going to grab the whole thing, all of that, and paste that up on my Facebook page. There we go. You have access to these documents. I'm going to paste it a second time because I didn't paste it earlier on my Facebook page. I hope you try. If you can't make the food, just send me a text. Now I'll make the food. Of course, you have to be able to pick up the food. So hopefully you'll be here in Las Vegas. But don't you want to get rid of your diabetes, or do you like it? I suspect there are some people who are holding on to these diseases because it's a point of identity, has become a point of identity for them. I'm not going to make a value judgment on that. Let me just read a little bit of this article that I just pulled up. It's entitled Red and Processed Meat Consumption Associated with Higher Type 2 Diabetes Risk. New study in 2 million people finds. This is August 21st, 2004. Meat consumption, particularly processed and unprocessed red meat consumption, is associated with a higher type 2 diabetes risk. An analysis of data from 1.97 million participants. New research is published in the Lancet Diabetes and Endocrinology has found. Category: meat consumption rises worldwide. Global meat production has increased rapidly in recent decades, and meat consumption exceeds dietary guidelines in many countries. Earlier research indicated that higher intakes of processed meat and unprocessed red meat are associated with the elevated risk of type 2 diabetes, but the results have been variable and not conclusive. Poultry, such as chicken, turkey, or duck, is often considered to be an alternative to processed or unprocessed red meat, but fewer studies have examined the association between poultry consumption and type 2 diabetes. And it says fewer studies. Well, we do have the studies that shows that as little as 2 days of a plant-forward vegan diet begin the process of insulin sensitivity. 2 days. So it's not like those studies don't exist. To determine the association between consumption of processed meat, unprocessed red meat, and poultry and type 2 diabetes, the team led by researchers at the University of Cambridge used the Global Interconnect Project to analyze data from 31 study cohorts in 20 countries. Their extensive analysis took into account factors such as age, gender, health-related behaviors, energy intake, and body mass index. And let me just tell you a little bit about those studies. And here, but let me sip my tea, not slurp it. A little bit of slurp. The risk of type 2 diabetes rises with higher processed and red meat consumption. The researchers found that the habitual consumption of 50 grams of processed meat a day, equivalent to 2 slices of ham, is associated with a 15% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes in the next 10 years. The consumption of 100 grams of unprocessed red meat a day, equivalent to a small steak, was associated with a 10% higher risk of type 2 diabetes. Habitual consumption of 100 grams of poultry a day was associated with an 8% higher risk. So this study did have information on the consumption of poultry. It said, but when further analyses were conducted to test the findings under different scenarios, the association for poultry consumption became weaker, whereas the associations with type 2 diabetes for each of the processed meat and unprocessed meat persisted. And lastly, from Professor Nita Forcui of the MRC Epidemiology Unit said, quote, our research provides the most comprehensive evidence to date of an association between eating unprocessed red meat and processed meat and a higher future risk of type 2 diabetes. It supports recommendations to limit the consumption of processed meat and unprocessed red meat to reduce type 2 diabetes cases in the population. While our findings provide more comprehensive evidence in the association between poultry consumption and type 2 diabetes that was previously available, the link remains uncertain and needs to be investigated further. Well, I'm a vegan. I don't consume, and I'm not the only one out here. Basu Rhonda, Sister for Africa One, we're on the same team together. But we're in a much less riskier position. I'm going to copy this and put this in my research document. Again, the article, red and processed meat consumption associated with higher type 2 diabetes risk, new study in 2 million people finds. I'm going to copy that, I'm going to paste that into my document, and let's keep going. Okay. And bear with me, couple little formatting things. And let me put the whole title in here, formatted. Here we go. Next category deals with part 5 of today's program. We're doing good on time. Food patterns that reverse type 2 diabetes. You've been waiting for this. A new randomized crossover trial looked at the effect of a vegan diet compared to an omnivorous diet in 30 healthy older adults. When the participants ate the vegan diet, they had significantly lower insulin levels and improved insulin resistance compared to the omnivorous diet. The vegan diet also resulted in significantly lower blood sugars and markers of inflammation, all within just 48 hours. Previous research has also shown rapid improvements in insulin sensitivity with vegan diets. 48 hours. You saw the movie. I hope you saw it. And do I have the book here? I usually try and keep this one close. Dr. Gabriel Cousens' book, There Is a Cure for Diabetes, the Tree of Life's 30-day program. And I don't have that on this bookshelf. I usually try and keep that one close. There is a cure for diabetes. 21-day, Tree of Life, 21-day vegan program. Points. A low-fat, whole food, plant-based diet can quickly reduce liver and muscle fat, ectopic fat, and improve insulin sensitivity with measurable changes reported within 2 days in clinical studies. This reference, I have it here, is entitled A Vegan Diet Improves Insulin Resistance in Just 2 Days. And let me copy that one. And because I'm starting to rush a little bit, I'm going to just copy them as they are. If it fits on one, I think it's going to fit on one link, and it will be accessible to you via my Facebook page. Always, you can find these links on my Facebook page. And bear with me. Okay. And there it's there. A vegan diet improves insulin resistance in just 2 days. So it is there on the various pages. And I just going to move forward as fast as possible. Next, there's another reference on this one. Another reference, effects of a short-term vegan challenge in older adults on metabolic and inflammatory parameters, a randomized control crossover study by Dr. L. Schultz et al. From Molecular Nutrition and Food Research Journal. And I don't have a date on that. That's from the 23rd of, I think it's June. I can't tell the date from this. But I have just the title of this one, Effects of a Short-Term Vegan Challenge in Older Adults on Metabolic and Inflammatory Parameters, a randomized controlled crossover study. Let me just put the title up for those of you who will look it up. And therefore confirm that I'm not just making this stuff up. I think you know me by now, that I don't lie. We don't lie on the Conscious Rasta Report. If we do make an error, I will correct it as soon as I'm told that that was not necessarily true. So here's where we are in a 16-week randomized trial. This is from the article. In a 16-week randomized trial, a low-fat vegan diet cut dietary fat by roughly 1/3. In a 16-week randomized trial, a low-fat vegan diet cut liver fat by roughly 1/3, lowered intramyocellular fat and significantly improved insulin resistance in overweight adults. And now I do have a reference for this article. A plant-based diet is a powerful tool for preventing and managing type 2 diabetes and even putting type 2 diabetes into remission. And I'm going to copy that, paste that, and here, copy, paste the title, and then the next link is going to come up for the actual article, which is from pcrm.org. It's health topics, diabetes. And so I'm giving you the solution. How many people say today's program is worth your December fund drive contribution? I'm doing the best I can, but obviously the best that I can do is not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not apparently not going to preserve LIB radio beyond December. And it's not going to increase my personal income, which is really the reason I'm moving into a new realm. Why don't we try? Why don't we try harder? Why don't we take our immense wealth, $1.93 trillion in annual consumption spending? Why don't we take a little bit of that and preserve institutions like Black media, preserve books in libraries in every home? It's everyone in their right mind would agree. It's the right thing to have these institutions. Yet our behavior in real time says, no, you don't want it. You really don't want it. You don't want me to be reporting this stuff. You don't know how much research I do. You loyal listeners, you do know because you're here every day with us. But it's tragic. It's real tragic. I'll drink my tea. I'll continue to do what I do to preserve my health. And as many of you who would join me, you know you're welcome. Basuranda, you've been to our home. You know how we roll. You know how we eat. You know how we teach what we know. And I know how you, Basuranda, I've seen personally how you master these things. Yes. For Africa One, she writes, I presume you were going to mention Simply Raw Reversing Diabetes in 30 Days, the documentary from 2009 available on YouTube. Yes. And here, let me just put this up. And I'm going to copy and I'll put up a link to that. Thank you for bringing that up because that's so very important. YouTube.com. And I'm going to type in Simply Raw Reversing Diabetes in 30 Days. Simply Raw. Here is the link. And I will give you the link to that documentary film. And that's so very important. That's Dr. Gabriel Cousins. You know, I got a chance to meet Dr. Gabriel Cousins, and I had the most wonderful time. Thank you, beloved. I got a chance to meet Dr. Gabriel Cousins. In fact, I met him one day at a conference we were speaking at, and the next day I prepared lunch for us, and he and I sat down together and we had lunch together. You know, he said my hummus was the best hummus he had ever tasted. And he's a rabbi, Jewish rabbi. And so he knows his hummus. And he is a very honorable, very dignified man, respected by everyone who knows him. So Dr. Gabriel Cousins, Yeah, I put up the link. Thank you for that recommendation. And let me put up the link over here. And Basu Randa is in the house. He says, yes, indeed, in Vegas and in a yard, in a yard. That's in Jamaica as well. We were together there. Thank you very much for being a part of my blessing, Basuranda. And I need you to do me a favor. Please live a long, healthy existence. Because I need some of us to be around to document what I said about my own longevity. I need you to live at least to 126 years. I think I have a few years on you now. So that 126 will allow you to testify at my honoring my memorial. And I may live to be 137. I may have just changed that recently because of the new research that we have on autophagy. I added that to it. And now with that new research on autophagy, I said, ooh, I may have to add another 15 years to my personal plan for longevity. Now I'm going to pass into the realm of the ancestors, and I will greet my many brothers and sisters who I've known along the way, and my parents and everyone else, including my dog Puffy. But we're going to extend our time because I have so much to teach. We have so much to learn, so much to master. We have to guide future generations into their fullness. So that's on us. That's what we're bound and determined to accomplish. But I need as many of you as possible, just to Shingai and Shabaka and everyone else, to live long so you can testify that what I taught you in this forum and other forums contributed to your sustained, healthy longevity. I say, going back to our research, there's one more carefully structured low carb and ketogenic diets, emphasizing non-starchy vegetables such as boiled green bananas. That's awesome food for longevity. Adequate protein and very low carbohydrate intake have also enabled many people with type 2 diabetes to discontinue insulin and achieve remissions over 1 to 2 years under medical supervision. Now, that medical supervision is how you got in trouble in the first place. You were under medical supervision when them mothers and fathers put you on those darn drugs. So yeah, I guess you're going to want to confirm that it is in remission with those same people, but you don't have to. You don't have to do that. Part 6 of our discussion today, the latest scientific breakthroughs. Recent trials indicate that whole food, plant-forward diets can cut insulin needs and improve insulin sensitivity more than conventional diabetes diets and even DASH, that's a dietary strategies against hypertension in insulin treated diabetes, even better than DASH. In a crossover trial, a whole food plant-based week lowered insulin resistance by about half and reduced daily insulin use more than DASH. A whole food plant-based pattern can outperform standard diets and even DASH for improving insulin sensitivity and reducing insulin needs in people already on insulin. Point 2, or next point, a very low calorie liquid diet, around 600 to 800 calories per day intake, can rapidly defat, unquote unquote, defat the liver and pancreas, restore beta cell function in the pancreas, and induce remission in many participants when substantial weight loss is maintained. liquid diet, meaning a smoothie a day, or could be just juices, fresh vegetable juices per day. This is what we use primarily to break this. We do a juicing. It's a 7-part juice. It's called the Kale Power. It's in the book, Living Superfood Recipes, Volume 1. Kale Power will fix almost everything. It's a low calorie, whole nutrition juice made with cucumbers, carrots, celery, green apple, fresh ginger, and kale. There's one other ingredient: kale, ginger, green apple, carrots, celery, cucumber, and that other one. I can't remember what it is, but it's in the book. And that will lower your blood glucose levels immediately. And as long as you stay on that juice, and you can live on that juice for, if you're fat, then stay on the juice for 30 days. You can live on it, no doubt. And that will create the structure that you need to reverse your diabetes. Umbrella reviews show the strongest protection from higher whole grain and whole cereal fiber intake. The strongest harms are from processed meat and sugary drinks. Number 7, part 7, building your reversal plate. A simple plate model might consist of, quote, half non-starchy vegetables, 1/4 intact whole grains or starchy vegetables, or low-carb substitutes depending on your strategy, and 1/4 legumes or other lean plant protein. Legumes, lean plant protein. Over here, we eat legumes every day. I think yesterday was a soup and it had lentils. Oh, I put a bunch of stuff in the soup. It had a whole bunch of stuff. But the main, we had pinto beans, not pinto beans, frijoles, whatever those are. I think those are pinto beans. We had frijoles, legumes, and other things. There was a lot of vegetables in the soup as well. But we eat the legumes every day here. Black beans, frijoles, red beans, garbanzos, mung beans, all of these. Every day we have legumes. Example of foods to eat over the course of 72 hours. You're going to mix and match them any way you choose, just over the course of 72 hours. This is all you're going to eat for 3 days, after which you will see your remission. Not permanent, because you got to keep this up for about at least a half a month. At least 1/2 month, stay in it, and the remission becomes permanent. Your new habits become permanent. Example of foods: non-starchy vegetables, leafy greens. We had those yesterday. Broccoli, yes, we had those yesterday. Cauliflower, didn't have it yesterday. Cabbage, yes, it was in the soup. Brussels sprouts, had them about 3 days earlier. Asparagus, love it, haven't had it in too long. Green beans, cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, mushrooms, zucchini, and onions. Over the course of 72 hours, mix and match in your whole grains, starches, low carb steel cut oats, had those yesterday for breakfast. Quinoa, barley, we had barley in the soup. Brown rice, millet, we had a mixed rice mixed up in the soup. Millet, buckwheat, sweet potato, winter squash, corn, beans, lentils, or substitutes like cauliflower rice, spiralized zucchini, shirataki noodles. Eat over the course of 72 hours, mix and match. Legumes, lean plant protein, lentils, black beans, chickpeas, pinto beans, edamame, tofu, tempeh, baked soy curls, lupini beans, pea protein-based veggie meats, with minimal processing. I've never had the pea protein veggie meat. I understand it's good, and I do like pea protein, just that I don't eat the Whataburger or Impossible Burger and the other one, whatever they are. I just haven't eaten them because I just don't trust them. They're highly processed. But I'm not saying you cannot start there. And emphasize, last point, emphasize water, unsweetened tea or coffee, and eliminating sugary drinks and most ultra processed snack foods as core levers for lowering your blood sugar and risk. So, this is what you're going to eat over the course of 72 hours. It's not so difficult. 3 days in a row, 3 days in a row. Today is Tuesday. Do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and on Saturday, do your glucose monitor. Do it today, on Tuesday, and then do 3 days in a row of everything I just mentioned in those 4 paragraphs. And then measure your blood sugar, and you tell me. Now, you got to be strict. I won't be there to monitor you. You have to monitor yourself as strict as you can. Are you prepared to do it? Yes, I'm prepared to do it. I don't know who said that, but I do agree with you. Part 8, personalizing the strategy, the plant forward versus low carb. Point 1, a low fat, high fiber plant based strategy with a low carb keto strategy include those who tend to benefit from each and how to avoid nutritional pitfalls. 2.2, both patterns, plant forward and low carb, when done with whole foods, can reduce ectopic fat, improve insulin resistance, reduce medications, and support weight loss. Adherence and food culture should guide the choice. Your food culture is going to have to shift to get beyond the grasp of diabetes, prediabetes, hyperglycemia. Point 3, collaborate with a knowledgeable clinical nutritionist as a person who uses food to heal when replacing medications, especially insulin or sulfonylureas, and to avoid hypoglycemia during rapid dietary changes. Hypoglycemia is too low blood sugar. We talk about hyperglycemia, that's diabetes, but too low is very much a problem. So there is an implementation toolkit, part 9 of today's discussion. We're almost finished. 7 daily practices that consistently help to prevent or reverse insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes are: number 1, move your body at least 30 minutes daily. Walking, cycling, strength work, high impact interval training, plus short walks after meals. That short walk after the meal burns up the available glucose that's in your blood because of the meal. Point 2, build every plate around non-starchy vegetables, intact whole grains, or low carb substitutes, and legumes or lean plant protein. Build your plate around those 5 different categories: in non-starchy vegetables, intact whole grains, or low carb substitutes, legumes, or lean plant protein. That's 5 different categories. Point 3, eliminate or sharply limit sugary drinks, including juices, energy drinks, and dessert snacks. I highly recommend for 3 days, eliminate them completely. You can do it. Point 4, prioritize 7 to 9 hours of consistent high quality sleep. 7 to 9 hours. If you can do that for over the course of 3 days and you get the results I'm talking about, then why would you not keep that up? Number 5, keep an overnight fasting window. Example given, 12 hours with no late night snacking or no late night eating. Um, I am on a 18-6 fasting window. For 18 hours of every day, I do not eat. And for 6 hours, I will have my main consumption. Now, sometimes I'm not real strict on this rule. For one, my weight is very light right now. So eating outside of that 6 hour window, sometimes I'll eat 7 hours. And so that's not going to hurt me. Although I recognize that if I start to undergo changes in my body that are not desired, then I will be real strict on the 18-6 eating pattern. 18 hours of fasting per day, 6 hours of eating per day. We talked about this, very important for the process of autophagy. So I remain in autophagy the overwhelming majority of the day. I am in autophagy right now as it is 10 o'clock and I ate my last meal. I believe my last meal I ate at 7 o'clock yesterday. I started a little bit later, but from 7 to 12, that's from 7 o'clock to midnight, that's 5 hours. And from midnight to right now, it's 10, a little after 10 a.m. It's another 10 hours. So already I have gone over 15 hours without eating since my last meal, and I will eat again in 2 hours. So that's going to be about 16, 17 hours with no food. And number 6, manage stress daily with breathing, meditation, or time spent with nature. It says in nature, but with nature, in nature. Yes, you and nature are one. Do your meditation time. I try to do 20 minutes of sitting in the sun every day. And I need to get back into that routine. It's a little cold out now, but I will sit in the sun and relax or work in my garden, which I got a chance to work in the garden yesterday. I harvested kale, chard, and there was one other thing I harvested, arugula. Very important. Number 7, avoid smoking and limit alcohol to minimal or none. If you want to get over your diabetes, you're not going to be smoking, you're not going to be drinking. You're not going to be smoking, you're not going to be drinking. So, in getting to the end of our conversation, safety. Do not attempt drastic calorie restriction or carb restriction without supervision, especially if you have advanced kidney disease, if you're experiencing pregnancy or suffer an eating disorder, or you are on certain medications. That's a safety tip. Do not attempt severe caloric restriction without supervision. You have to have someone there to guide you who's been through all of this before. Point 2, behavioral change strategies. Find a support group, a social support group. Cultural adaptation might be the Daniel diet that you finally use to restrict your caloric restriction, to finally do a daily uh, intermittent fast. Social support group, cultural adaptation, and recipes. You can change soul food inspired, but make it plant strong with low oil and turn your favorite meals into low glycemic, low plant strong, make them plant strong, low oil versions. So you do know I have a book out called Transforming Soul Food for the Body, Mind, and Spirit. And in the first part of the book, we examine 20 favorite soul food dishes and why they've been messing us up. But then later, I do include 25 of my favorite converted dishes, converting soul food to spirit food. And chapter 4 is my 40 favorite culinary herbs. That's what the food gives. The food is flavor. Soul food is all about the flavor. It's not about the fat. You think fat gives flavor, but I can find you better ways to get that flavor than having to use turkey meat and pork. That's disgusting. That's disgusting because the fat contains the poisons that the pork and the turkey have been exposed to all their life. Turkey meat, turkey fat contains the poisons that were in the animal's feed and the environmental poisons. That's where poisons are stored in the body. So, pulling it all together, part 10. I must reiterate the fact that type 2 diabetes is largely a disease of chronic nutrient overload and ectopic fat, not just too much sugar, and that this can be reversed or put into remission. But get over the idea that it's just too much sugar. And I'm not saying to you people who use that excuse, oh, I have a fat, oh, I have a sugar tooth. No, you don't have a sweet tooth. You're suffering from ectopic fat overload. Now you have to ask the question, what is the source of my ectopic fat and my subsequent insulin resistance? And then you've got to conquer that. And that includes getting rid of the sugary drinks and desserts and all of that refined carbohydrate crap you've been eating. Pulling it all together, provide a 4 to 12 week action plan. It's not just dietary. We told you earlier a 3-day dietary pattern. We gave that to you. Keep that up over the course of 12 weeks. If it works well over the course of 3 days, what's it going to be like after 12 weeks when the new habits have fallen in or have set in? They say old habits die hard, but new habits form quickly. It takes 3 weeks to form new habits. 12 weeks, form a 12-week action plan. Choose a primary dietary pattern, plant-based, low-fat, or whole food, low-carb. Remove the highest risk foods, including processed meats, sugary drinks, ultra processed snacks, and commit to daily movement and to sleep hygiene. Over the course of 12 weeks, commit to daily movement and sleep hygiene. We're sharing this with our target audience, the LIB radio family, to the Black diaspora, to clinicians, etc. And we want everybody out there to be able to measure your progress. So anyone who wants a copy of today's report, I will make it available in there. I'm going to put up a link to the audio as well as my research documents. I'll put the whole research page up because you can become a teacher on this. I don't have to keep this all to myself. In fact, if I'm not going to be here in a month or so, I need you to go out and represent. So you can get access to this. I'm going to charge $10 for it. It'll be part of our fund drive. In fact, anybody who donates $10 to today's classroom, I'll put this up for you to have access to. It's a good idea. I think it is a great idea. So we now become the agents of change and transformation, and others will definitely want to follow us. So today's conversation has been on the topic, you can defeat diabetes and insulin resistance. Everything we talked about, now you know. We debunked the myths, such as the myth it's all about the sugar. No, it's not. The myths that skinny people can't be hyperglycemic. No, that's not true. We defeated those myths. And the myth that diabetes is always going to be with you. No, it's not. Unless you cannot and will not make these changes that we've described here today. I have enjoyed this conversation. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Tomorrow, we're going to take a detailed look at what is happening in the Sudan. We're going to go all the way back to World War II, and we're going to look at Sudan as a former protectorate or no colony of Egypt. We're going to look in details at what has happened, the Arabization of Sudan. We're going to talk about the first Darfur genocidal war. We're going to go through Sudan split into North and South Sudan. We're going to look at the resources, the oil, which is concentrated in the South, the oil and the gold of Sudan, how that has always come into play. Talk about the creation of Bashir al-Assad, not Bashir al-Assad, that's the Syrian. Al-Bashir is his name. And we're going to go deep, deep, deep into the current crises, which is the split. And that is linked to the Darfur crisis. We're going to talk about the greatest humanitarian disaster in the world today is the Sudan. And then we're going to end up with the question, why won't African Americans involve themselves in it? Because we are the untold factor that can put an end to the Sudanese crises any time that we want. The longer it goes on, the longer it'll take to resolve. So that is the new Pan-African Wednesdays we're going to be doing here. But today, I want to reemphasize that this is Fund Drive Month. This is December. It's bad. It's real bad. I won't admit how bad it is, but it's real bad. As much as I'm doing all of this research, it's taking me hours every day I put into it. I get paid nothing. No income. No income. Because my audience kind of lost their interest in what we're doing. And I hate to admit it, but that's about it. So I would welcome any one of you who would want to step up and do a little bit. Some of you do a little bit. Some of you who are tuned in right now, I've mentioned your name. You're in the house today. You do your part. But everyone is not like you. Let me just turn this down. Where are we at? So we're going to do better. I want you to all to hit the like button for today's program, wherever you're listening to us. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button, and also do subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Please do share the programs with others. Or if you're on our main channel, Rumble, hit the like button. In fact, I do see a few eyes, and everyone whose eyes are on it did hit the like button. But the few eyes that are here, that's the problem. It's just very, very few of us, because I'm apparently the only one doing the promotion of today's program. One sister for Africa, she did say yesterday, give me the link and other stuff. And she was going to put it up for others to participate in. And that was a very helpful, very helpful. You've been tuned in to your favorite. We aim to be your favorite information source that you can rely on, that you can use to improve your life. And I'm just looking at tomorrow's research. It's really good. We're going to be talking about Omar al-Bashir, the former president of Sudan, who was overthrown in the 2019 revolution, threw him out. We'll talk about all of that tomorrow. I can't wait to put this on the table for those of us who claim Pan-Africanism as our primary ideology. You don't claim the Republican Party. You don't claim the Democratic Party. You don't claim the Tories or the Labor Party. All of those are subservient to Pan-Africanism as our primary ideology, our primary ism, doctrine for orienting our lives. So on that note, I think I've done as much as I can do for today. We talked about diabetes. You can defeat diabetes and insulin resistance. And now you know what you have to do. I want to thank you all for tuning into today's program. It's been a good day here on LIB Radio. I didn't even have to use my AK, as Ice Cube might say. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you on your favorite. We aim to be your favorite. We are LIB Radio, LIB TV. We are livinginblack.com. Peace and prosperity to each and every one of you.